let's play our current game show. It's called Would K-Mart Be Shocked?
Can we get a new picture, please?
That picture is worth 1,000 words. Here we go, K-Mart. Would you be shocked if the Cowboys trade Micah Parsons this offseason?
Oh, my God. I would be shocked, for sure. Because, listen, if you found money for Dak and CD, you got to find money for Micah. He wants to be a Cowboy. They want to be a Cowboy. It would be insane to trade him.
All right, next one, and we'll stay in the division. Would Kmart be shocked if the Giants fire everybody like the banners say they want them to?
I'm shocked that they haven't fired everybody already. Honestly, it's so bad. No, I would not be shocked if they got rid of everybody because the fans are so irate. And John Mara clearly cares what the fan base thinks about and selling seats. So you got to do something, give these fans reason for hope, and maybe wholesale changes will do that.
The NHL's New York Rangers have won a game in that building more recently than the New York Giants have. Finally, would Kmart be shocked if Lamar Jackson and the Ravens win the AFC North?
No, Greeny, not shocked. Listen, they got Lamar Jackson. Listen, he's got to figure out how to beat the Steelers. But this I think they're a better team. They just haven't played consistently like it. Well, I would not be shocked.
Let me give you the numbers, okay? There may not be a bigger game than the one the Steelers and Ravens play this Saturday. With a win, the Steelers officially clinch the division. If the Ravens win, the two teams would be tied with 2 games left, and their chances to win the division would essentially be a toss-up. I'm going to say the thing that I think most fans think, and let's hear what you guys, how just you would respond. I think most fans think, the Ravens are just a better team, right? They haven't always played like it. The Steelers have Tomlined their way to an unbelievably good record, and the Ravens have had some surprising hiccups. But at the end of the day, the Ravens are the better team, right? Is that the right? If people say that, are they right?
I think that they may have a tough matchup with the Steelers, but yeah, the Ravens' ceiling is higher. The team that you feel more comfortable about getting hot and winning enough playoff games to win a championship is the one with the quarterback that's having one of the best seasons that we've had all time. Yeah. Their defense isn't as good, but they're good at stopping the run. They have issues, but that's a team that we look at and think, oh, they could beat anybody. When you look at the Steelers, you're like, they could beat some people. They can't beat anybody.
They have to play at their absolute best week in and week out. Like, I felt like throughout
the
Steelers,
okay.
Yes. Like, I feel like we've been surprised when they get against good opponents and they actually put forward the effort that we see. Without George Pickens on the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is a different football team. I don't mean that in a good way. I mean, like, their chances of beating anybody are starting to be more and more slim because they have no ability to have explosive plays down the field without him. Like, there's a considerable drop-off the moment he steps off the field.
For sure. I think that the biggest thing for me is the Ravens have underperformed to what we've expected, and the Steelers have outperformed our expectations. So when you ask me who's the team that's playing the best is the best, Lamar Jackson they have to win this game. If you talk about how great a season it is, it's all this, you got to go beat the Steelers. You're 1-4 against the Steelers. We talk about pressure games and playoffs. This is a playoff game. And they better look at it that way because they have underwhelmed everybody this season. And with the talent they have, in a division opponent, you got to get this win.
It does feel like there's a lot of pressure on them to put themselves in position to have a chance at this division.
Right.
And there's a lot of pressure on Lamar in this situation because this is the story about Lamar so far. It's like he's the best version we've ever seen. His numbers this year are insane, but the story is you can't do it against the Steelers. So this is a chance for him to do it. And they stopped him by blitzing. They stopped him by not blitzing. They seem to have his number in some way or another.
What you're seeing here are highlights from the first meeting between these two teams this year. And to Jeff's point, historically, the Steelers have always been the kryptonite of Lamar Jackson. Look, the reason the Ravens were the best team in the NFL at the end of last season, going into the playoffs. And the reason you can't miss out on that opportunity is because it doesn't just come right back again. They just 100%. Haven't been as good this year. Are they the team that's going to get super hot right now, down the stretch, win this game, roar into the playoffs? Buffalo, Kansas City, is this the year the Ravens do it?
I think they have the opportunity to because they're so talented. Like what they didn't have last year, they've always been a good rushing attack. But they do have an ability for Derrick Henry to carry games and also be a supplement to Lamar, depending on what pick their poison. They have 2 incredible tight ends. Their receivers are above average, and their defense is playing a lot better than they were at the beginning of the season. And I think that's the differentiator.
It's going to be fascinating. That's as big a game as far as implications as we will get pretty much all seasons. Notes. We go to Kansas City.
Oh, God.
Scoring has been an issue for the Chiefs. Are you aware The Chiefs are one of 4 teams that have not scored more than 30 points in a game this year. The other 3, the Giants, the Raiders, and the Patriots, are a combined 7 and 35. The Chiefs are 13-1 reaction.
That is nuts. And that is the power of Patrick Mahomes. Because without Patrick Mahomes, this team would be in line to get Shedeur Sanders. They would be picking number 1 overall.
I mean, they're literally. It's literally, his value level is literally that.
Yeah, I mean, they do. You don't want to assume that they would lose without them because Carson Wentz is good and they have other good players. But the way that they have been winning, aside from the kind of fluky ones, have been because Patrick Mahomes and that team has executed so well late in games. And that's that speaks to that specific numbers. Like what the score is, how many points they score doesn't matter. Are they close at the end?
Yeah.
You feel confident.
It's almost like Patrick Mahomes is so valuable that you have to be very careful with that pressure.
Tender
or play him so you continue to win instead of being with the Giants and everybody getting fired. We can do one or the other.
I mean, I'm gonna just side with this one because it's football. You don't want to outsmart yourself. Like I get the logic. I get the logic behind this thought process, but let's not forget. Sometimes this happens. When I started getting into all this analysis stuff, I started reading all the analytics, understanding numbers, and passing's more efficient than rushing. Yeah, it is. But also, this football, sometimes you got to hit them.
Y'all too old school, man. I never thought I'd say that as an old school member.
Studio Hawk versus Play Hawk. Yeah. Play Hawk don't want the backup throwing to him and getting him crushed. Playoff Hawk Studio Hawk wants whoever. He don't care. When he was playing,
they can't take Toradol no more, man. The days is done.
That's a fact. That hurt me too. It hurt me too. Ended that career early.
We can sing it. We continue now with D's notes. Number 2.
Off the rails.
Do you know that the team that leads the NFL in double-digit wins this year is not Buffalo, Detroit, Philadelphia, or Minnesota? It's Denver.
Love this.
What? Denver has 7 double-digit wins this season. What do you mean you know why?
Schedule, man. All the other teams you're going, they were ones. They got to play all the toughest. The Broncos, I think, were 3rd in their division, so they're not to say they're cherry picking, but they're not playing the same caliber all those other teams are.
Do you know what else Denver is doing? Do you know what they're number 1 in? Dead money. They have $93 million, in, I believe is the number that they told me yesterday, in dead cap, the overwhelming majority of it coming from Russell Wilson. Sean Payton is pulling off what can only be described as one of the genuinely great coaching jobs in recent memory. This team is not just winning games, they're winning games big. They're doing it with a rookie quarterback who was looking a whole lot.
But also that defense. Credit Vance Joseph for that defense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that rookie quarterback also, people were halfway laughing at them drafting him at that spot. Yeah, they've done a lot with all that dead money, and the defense is, like you mentioned, they're really aggressive and impressive.
No-name defense is balling.
I mean, it also helps that you play the Raiders twice in the NFC South.
Stop it!
I'm just saying.
Stop it!
Don't bring common sense into this.
My bad. Okay.
Don't do that. Don't
getting touchdowns.
Under no circumstances do I don't want you to mar D's notes with facts that go against the point. Let's get to the final one.
These notes are for a lot of things.
The final note. The Detroit Lions have 21 players on injured reserve, and that doesn't include David Montgomery, who will go there as soon as they officially designate him that way. Those 21 players are more than the Packers, the Eagles, and the Vikings have combined, which is why I used to say, it's an expression I used to use on the radio all the time. People will always say, don't make excuses. No excuses. You rough, tough football guys. And I respect it. No, I mean this seriously. I respect it. You'll say, no, we don't make excuses. Some things are not excuses. They're reasons. There's a difference between an excuse and a reason. Their defense is so...
Look at who you're talking to.
Domonique, why are you making that face? Why the face?
Don't sell that excuse train this way, baby.
I mean,
turn that direction.
There really is no difference between excuses and reasons. They're kind of the same thing. I get what you're saying. What you're essentially saying is it's not their fault, but they don't care. No one cares. They don't give out trophies for excuses. They don't say you would have, 15 years from now, we're going to say they were the Super Bowl champs if it wasn't for all these reasons.
But they were really good till the end when their backups had to be good.
When I see that particular note in 21, what I think is, you know what? they're going to set a record for how many Super Bowl rings they're going to have to make because all those guys on IR are going to get rings too. So that is
Get
the
him,
way
Dan
they're
Campbell.
looking. I'm feeling Danny today. I'm feeling Kimberley. I might have some soup. Let's go.
Greeny, don't mind them. They must have woke up this morning and watched their old highlights, so they're really in their football season mode. Yeah. Nobody cares. People care. That's 21 people on IR.
Nobody cares.
I get it. It's not going to equate if you don't win the Super Bowl. They're not going to talk about it. But I don't think those other three teams, the Eagles, Vikings, and Packers, if they were in this situation, I don't think they would still be fighting the way that the Detroit Lions are. So that context points to Dan Campbell and what they've been able to sustain or try close to sustain since all those injuries have occurred.
No. Studio.
I get it, man.
My point about no one caring is like, I get it. For us to talk about today, that's fine. But for them, like, we can go back 5 years ago and be like, hey, who was the team who had the injuries that derailed their seasons? Nobody cares. You can say their reasons, you can say their excuses, you can talk about missed calls as reasons and excuses.
Three of my best teams didn't make it, and it don't matter. The team we won the Super Bowl, no one cares. It doesn't matter.
Well, I think we're saying the same thing, though. We're just you're acting like we're arguing, but we're saying the same thing. Can they overcome this? Can the Detroit Lions win the Super Bowl? You just told me that three of your best teams didn't win. Why? Because you were decimated by injury. There is an element of good fortune that is involved in every team that wins a championship in every sport, more so in football than any other because of the prevalence of injury.
Your weaknesses. They have injuries. Those are the weaknesses. You got to go win it, and they're still good. They just scored 40-plus points. With banged up all those ways, you can beat a lot of teams scoring 40-something points. You just got to go continue to do it. You don't feel bad for them. You don't feel sorry for them. Go continue to do it.
But they had 48 put on them.
Because
there's so many injuries on defense.
They had to declare an onside kick with 12 minutes left.
You just said that we're saying the same thing. We know it's hard. It's very difficult. My point is differentiating between excuses and examples or explanations doesn't really matter to me.
Like
the Saints don't get a ring for that missed call when the Rams had that illegal play on the side. Like, these are the things that happen in games, and sometimes it's a coaching mistake. Sometimes it's a player mistake.
Motivational music and just copy and paste it and let the Detroit Lions football team hear it. Because you guys sound like coaches in the pregame.
Absolutely.
That's what it sounds like. It's exactly what they say.
We're ready.
You ready?
You
switch sides?
I got you. I'm close.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little less tender than I was at the beginning of the show. I ain't gonna lie.
K-Mart,
don't pull it out of me. I'm done with that part of my life, Nick.
You ain't never done. It's in there.
K-Mart.
Bring it out.
K-Mart, you talk to people around the league all the time. Like, what is the general sense? Look, everyone loves the Lions. Yeah. How do you not love the coach? How do you not love how hard they fight? I think everyone who doesn't otherwise have a horse in the race kind of would love to see them win for that woebegone franchise all these years and this group. But what are people saying about the injuries?
on the outside, you know exactly what is the same as what analysts are saying, what everybody in the NFL is saying. On the outside, everybody's like, oh, yeah, Detroit, it's a good team, but, yeah, you can't overcome this many injuries. People are saying Detroit's done. That's the story, which is literally why Dan Campbell and all those coaches are telling those players, hey, we will make this story will be even better based off of everything we've gone through. We can still do this. This is next man up. Hey, you want to play and ball out. That's the expectation. Like, that's the reality.
You know what I loved about what Dan said, too, is he encouraged while he was doing that. He's like, you don't got to be perfect. Go cut loose. We're going to let it rip. The best 11 will be on the field. That's encouraging for players because you realize you're a backup for a reason.
Yeah.
But if I go do my best, somebody else will pick up my mistake. That's great coaching and great messaging.